able to see a lot of spirit and energies and auras and being given information. And I'd be going home and I'd be sharing this to my mum and the school teachers and the kids, and I'd be in a different world and I'd be saying all this stuff. And then one day, I think it was my guides that stepped in, and it must have been, and they said, stop talking, just stop talking, because people were starting to turn and look at me, really look at me in a serious way, like, does this child need to be locked up because of what she's speaking about and seeing and saying, and a different energy they bring in, a different frequency awareness and specific DNA codes. The starseeds are, and this is not really publicly known yet, although in 3 years from now, I'm sure it will be, but
all right, my friends, here we are with Soma ARah, and she is a psychic medium, a healer, a Reiki Master, and a shamanic practitioner and a channel. So, wow, that's quite a resume. Welcome to the show, Soma.
Hi, Blaine. Thank you. I'm very much looking forward to connecting with you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. We were just talking a little bit before we went live here, and I looked at a little bit of your story, and so I'm curious to know how did you get started? When did you first notice that you had some of these abilities, that sort of thing? And I'll let you take it from there. And if there's anything you want to add to your credentials there, please go ahead.
Thank you, Blaine. Well, I'm Soma ARah, and I'm a channel for the Pleiadians, mostly Ashtar. And for me, it all began as a child. I seem to be born knowing, with certain abilities, and maybe abilities is the wrong word, but perceptions and awareness and an extra awareness, an extra the third eye ability, and very aware of spirit and my own spirit guides, nature spirits and fairies and elves and tree spirits, and also spirit and loved ones. I remember that so vividly because we moved from South Africa when I was about 4 or 5, and I remember playing out in the garden in rural Ireland in Mayo, and seeing just a multitude and connecting in with a multitude of spirit guides and nature fairies and tree spirits and elves and goblins and all the nature spirits, because I loved nature so much. And then my granddad died.
Wait a minute. Some of those are all they're just make-believe. Those aren't real.
Oh no, those are very real.
I know, I'm being sarcastic.
We've been lied to, Blaine.
Yeah.
They lied to us. They lied.
Well, yeah, maybe not lied, but they just didn't know any better, I think. So most of them anyway. So.
And then I had also quite a bit of trauma as a child. Moving forward a few years, I was 8, and we were living in London in a big tower block in an area similar to the Bronx, and I was having a traumatic experience, and I left my body and connected to the Pleiadians when I was 8, and things went on from there. And I just was always very, very born open spiritually and very aware of things that most people are never aware in their lifetime, So it seemed, looking back now, it seems like I was in a lot of training. So that is my first conscious recollection of the Pleiadians. And then I would have had various experience after experience after experience growing up as a child, often due to traumatic experiences. because of the family I was born into and also the environment I was living in. So those two things brought about a lot of negative energy and trauma that led to very positive experiences for me. So skipping forward a little bit, when I was 12, I wanted to leave my body. I didn't want to be here. And due to trauma and abuse and all kinds of things. And then I was raped when I was 13 and became pregnant. So that was the kind of things I was subject to. Although I see them as a blessing now. That's not to take away from the trauma, because it definitely left scars and wounds that have taken a long time to heal. And perhaps there's still some healing needed there.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is, is layers of the onion. So then I was 12 and I had this experience, and I was laying on my mattress in my room and I was just sobbing and really wanted to leave. I didn't want to be alive anymore. I didn't want to be here. And so I was sobbing and crying and retching, and it was snotty nose. It wasn't a nice experience. And then the next thing I knew, I'd left my body and went up to the corner of the room. And because of this experience, I'll never forget the layout of the room. So I went up into the corner of the room, which was above the door, and I was looking down on my body. And then I met up with a being called Jesus, who I recognized because my mum is Catholic. And he took me on a very long journey for about 3 or 4 hours. And I knew it was real. And one of the ways I knew it was real, even at such a young age, is that when I came back, I was gone for about 3 or 4 hours, and he showed me a lot of, I guess, information about myself and humanity. And then when I came back, I was blissful for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I know it was a real experience because of that, because I'd gone from a complete devastation, meltdown, I just wanted to choose suicide. And then when I came back, like 3 or 4 hours later, I was in a completely different mental attitude, state, awareness, energy, frequency. It has gone from dark to light, literally in the space of 4 hours, dark to light. And so that was one of the ways I knew it was real. And that really changed everything for me. It changed so much. It changed my whole outlook, my whole perspective. It was such a deep, profound experience. And yet I was still, that it changed everything for me internally. And yet I was still in the same place. I was still in the same bedroom, in the same family, in the same environment, in the same estate. We call them estates in over here, council housing estate. And nothing else had changed, just that one experience. And then moving forward, then I started to meditate in my room. And I didn't know that's what it was called. But I would just sit there for hours and just meditate. And I'd be also reading books, esoteric books by the likes of Edgar Cayce and Doris Stokes. I had a local library it was a small local library, but it did contain a good stock of spiritual books for the time, back in the 80s. And then I was also channeling the Pleiadians at the same time, but I didn't know that's who they were. And the reason I'm saying this is because they had kept me out of the school system. So the ages from 12 to 16, really, that's what I did. I was alone in my room, reading and meditating and downloading and transmissions and all the kind of, there was a lot of spiritual foundation there that was laid for me, which was really amazing.
Well, that really sounds like you were being prepared for what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Is that your takeaway from it?
Yeah, I pretty much, even though it was pretty horrendous, But I think all of those experiences really, even the worst ones, all of them brought something very valuable to me. There was always positive, even gifts sometimes within those negative experiences that gave me a very deep, solid foundation of knowing, of absolute knowing that we're not alone. You know, we've never been alone, and
Yeah.
that we're not even from here. And also, it's the worst experiences that can bring the most blessings, transformations, and healings, and inner knowings and understandings that there is more. There is so much more than we've been
Yeah.
led to believe.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I can look back on my own life and see that the times that I progressed and grew the most were some of the roughest times, and it seemed like the end of the world at the time. Then now I can look back and go, wow, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But yeah, it doesn't take away from the trauma of going through it at the time.
What kind of experiences have you had?
Well, I've had a few ups and downs. One traumatic experience that happened actually not that long ago in my life, about 11 or 12 years ago, I went through a divorce after 30 years of marriage. And
Wow.
that was a very traumatic experience for me because my world basically did end as I knew it right then and there. And I thought it was kind of the end of the world, and I was suicidal and all kind of stuff. And so, but now I look back on it as one of the best things that ever happened to me. And it was good for me and for her both. And I met a wonderful woman, and we're married now, and so much more compatible. It's unbelievable. And we're both on the same path, this spiritual path, so to speak. So that's just a quick one. There's other ones back when I was younger, but we'll leave it at that. What did you think you were going crazy at first when these things started happening to you?
Oh, that's such a great question. I didn't think that, but back in Ireland, I was between 4 and 8 years of age, between 4 and 8, and I didn't think I was going crazy, but my granny did,
Ah,
and she used to lock me in this. She wasn't a very nice woman. She was a very strong woman, very strong, old school granny in Ireland, back in the 80s.
yeah.
Very strong woman, formidable, but she wasn't a nice woman. She wasn't a nice woman, but she used to think I was crazy. And she used to lock me in a dark room, a dark bedroom she wouldn't let me have the light on, or she'd done something, or taken the light bulb out, or done something. There was dark. I just remember it being dark and being very scared. She never really liked me, but I was very close to my granddad. We were close to each other. And as soon as I had met him, I'd recognized him from past life. And I used to talk to him about it to him. And he was such a beautiful man. They were really chalk and cheese. They couldn't have been more different. And yet I think they did love each other very much, looking back. So she thought I was crazy, and my mum didn't know what to make of me. And I've since connected to my granny in spirit, and we actually have a really good relationship now, which is lovely. And but my mum didn't know what to make of me, and
Were you pretty vocal about it at first, and then you kind of shut down when people didn't?
yeah, I remember a specific day and time, an incident at my local primary school, because I didn't have any secondary, but my local primary school, I was very bullied there. And it was called Gainsborough Primary School in Hackney. And it was a huge building, like it was really huge, old, I think it was Victorian building. And the whole school was surrounded by the playground. It was incredibly large in terms of a school. Like you wouldn't see a school like that now unless it was private. And lovely building, a really lovely building. And then there were steps going up to the front door. It was kind of everything was circular. The building was kind of surrounding it was the large playground. And I remember having these experiences with with God and Jesus, and very spiritual experiences, and being visually able to see a lot of spirit and energies and auras and being given information. And I'd be going home and I'd be sharing this to my mum and the school teachers and the kids, and I'd be in a different world and I'd be saying all this stuff. And then one day, I think it was my guides that stepped in, and it must have been, and they said, stop talking, just stop talking, because people were starting to turn and look at me, really look at me in a serious way. Like, does this child need to be locked up because of what she's speaking about and seeing and saying? And so my guides told me that. They said to me one day, stop talking or they will lock you up. So I did. I heard them very well and I listened. And the next day, overnight, I just stopped talking. I had to, because I would have been locked up with the things that I was experiencing and talking about.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So,
No. Oh, I was just going to say there was one story I'd like to share with you, if it's okay.
oh, absolutely.
It's coming to mind, and it's not something that I've shared before on publicly. I don't think I did share it in my book, but I haven't shared it publicly. So one on Saturday mornings, I used to get up when I was at primary school and go and play. I'd leave the house before anyone got up, and I'd be out playing with my friends. And I had a friend called Rosa that was Italian, and she lived down the way, about a 10-15 minute walk, maybe 20 minutes walk, in another tower block. I think there were 6 or 7 of them, and they were blown up in the end because they were just unstable. So anyway, this one morning I was going on my way to meet her, and she'd either gone out or she wasn't there, or it was too early or something. So I went to play on the stairs in the stairwell. You know, all the floors had stairs, and as well as 2 different lifts, because it was a 20-story tower block. And I was playing on the stairs, and then this, I think it might have been a Roman soldier, but I'm not sure. But it was definitely some type of, he was a soldier, and I could see that clearly from his clothing. And I don't know why he was there, but he was there. And he was talking to me for ages, for about half an hour, maybe an hour. And he was talking, and I could see him so clearly, like I can still see him. And he gave me some money, and he was a very kind man, very funny, and talking to me. And his clothes were very ancient, kind of soldier clothes. So he might have been Roman, or I don't know. But he did have kind of an English accent, but I guess he wouldn't have had any other accent. Or he wouldn't have spoken another language, because spirit can speak any language, whether they're born in a foreign country and then end up somewhere else, in spirit. So
I was just going to ask you, was he in spirit or was he in the flesh?
oh no, he was in spirit.
Okay.
Yeah, he was an ancient, a very old soul that had been in spirit for quite some time. And I don't know if your viewers know this or not, but spirit is able to be in 2 places at once. So spirit can be in spirit, but it can also reincarnate. So it can coincide with the 2 different realities at the same time. So he may have reincarnated while he was talking to me, but he was such a beautiful soul. And I just remember how ancient he was and knowledgeable, and it was kind of a sacred experience. And then, so to cut a long story short, and it's kind of a funny story, because he gave me some money, some coins, and I was looking at them, and I could, like, they were very physical, very physical. So as I was, and I can't remember what type of coins they may have been, maybe Roman. I always get a Roman feel with him. And then I was looking at the coins, and then I was so excited about to have these coins, and I knew they were worth money. I knew they were worth money. So I kind of ran all the way home. He said goodbye, and I said goodbye, and I ran all the way home. And then I got halfway, and I fell and tripped up. But it was spirit that had tripped me up, and I was very aware of that. They had tripped me up physically to stop me from taking these coins home. And I fell over and I dropped the coins because they were in my hand. I was holding on to them very tightly, but the trip made me open my hand. And then they fell out onto the ground and I couldn't find them. And then when I did find them, I was picking, I didn't find those Roman coins. I had found instead, very strange, instead I had found back in the UK, back in then, we used to have little 20 pence pieces in coins. That's what I found. I didn't find the Roman coins; they were lost for eternity. But yeah, that was quite some, and I was so upset that I'd lost the coins, and with spirit as well.
I can imagine. So do you think there was a reason why they wouldn't let you take the coins, or do you have any idea?
Yeah, I think that there would have been. I don't think I was allowed to take the coins back into the physical reality because I was on my way to show them to my mum and my family, and because they were so valuable and we were so poor, and I was so delighted that they were going to change our situation because they would have, you know. And then a spirit said it was not to be allowed. It wasn't allowed to do that, you know.
Yeah, that might have changed your course and your family's course from things that you all needed to learn on the course that you were on, I suppose.
Yeah. And there would have been too many questions of how did she get these coins in such an area in a tower block, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that might have contributed to getting you thrown into the psych ward too.
Yes, yeah. Even though they were physical coins, yeah, no doubt. The yeah.
So let's move forward a little bit here and tell me what tell let's talk a little bit about today, what's going on today. So anyways, yeah, let's move into today and what's going on today and why and if you want to, do you want to do a channeling or a reading or anything while we're doing this? Or it's up to you. I'm
But
not trying to pressure you into that, but whatever you feel moved to do.
yeah, I'd love to give a little channeling. That would be lovely. And I can also share some information. But yeah, it'd be lovely to do a little channeling.
Okay, maybe a little bit later on in the video we'll do that. And
Yeah, that would be lovely. Thank you for asking me.
all right.
I can also share some information that they have shared, and going into today and what's happening with me and my journey is that I have a lot of experience with channeling the Pleiadians, which began for me in 2019, 2020. Consciously began to channel the Pleiadians, and I wasn't aware. I'd forgotten all of my childhood connection to them. I just had forgotten everything, probably because of all the abuse, because the mind blocks out trauma. So I began to channel them, didn't know who they were. And then I began to do shamanic courses in Ireland. And then I began to have memories of having connected to them as a child. So my story really is, my journey has been back to front, really, with you know, in my childhood and especially with my Pleiadian connection, because when I began to channel them, as an adult, I wasn't aware of all the childhood memories. You know, I totally blocked out, totally blocked out. And then as I began to channel and write, I had to step back into those memories. And then I was doing the shamanic courses and journeying, where I was taken on some shamanic journeys, sometimes using ayahuasca, and was remembering and being shown actually of some of my connection to the Pleiadians, and also some of humanity's connection. And so then I wrote my first book, which is called The Pleiadian Child by Carol Ann Noonan, which is my birth name.
Okay. I will link that in the description.
Okay. And then thank you, Blaine. And then I think I made a mistake just now when I said 2019. It would have been 2009 that I began to channel. And then so forgive me for making that mistake. It wasn't 2019, it was 2009 I began to consciously channel the Pleiadians. And then jumping forward to 2019 in the UK when COVID was brought in deliberately, I began to channel the Pleiadians again because I hadn't channeled them for a while. And I was given just hundreds of downloads as soon as I opened up and sat down to channel them again. I was given so much information. And some of that is in my second book called What's Really Going On, which is by Soma ARah, my spiritual name. And that was banned on Amazon. They wouldn't publish it.
Wow.
So it's, yeah. So it's on my website, somaarah.love, because they just wouldn't publish it. It contains some health information regarding remedies and alternative plants and other various things, all natural remedies and things. So, and then of course there's sections of channeling there regarding what was going on at the time, and also I think the Great Awakening as well of humanity. So yeah, and then just when was it? It was about 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I moved over from the UK to Ireland, which is where I am now.
Right. How do you like it in Ireland?
I love Ireland. I really do. I have such a deep connection to the land here. I'm due to move over to the States or visit the States for a while in June, I believe. In June, yeah, June or July this year. But I love Ireland. I have very traditional Irish roots and family.
So is Irish your heritage, or?
I'm a mixture. So
Okay.
my mum was Irish, German father, born in Namibia, and then grew up in London. So I'm a little bit of all sorts.
Yeah, me too. I'm a mixture of German, Irish, and a little bit of English in there, somewhere in the woodpile. So that's my last name is a German name. So not a very common one either, which is interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen it before. And it's interesting that you're also English, Irish, and German mixture.
Yeah. So what's going on today? What's happening now? What are we doing? What I know the answer to the question, or at least I think I know at least some of the answer to the question, but I want to hear your take on it too.
Well, we are in the very beginning of the greatest awakening of humanity that has ever happened. Like it is so I can never find the words, although I've magnificent, or the magnitude, profound, prolific, the great awakening of humanity, and we're here now in it. And we're specifically here to witness, to bear fruit, to anchor in new energies into the new earth and the great awakening. And we're in a huge leap forward and a huge evolutionary period of humanity where, as starseeds as well, we are here to anchor in higher energies to allow the great awakening of humanity and to allow the consciousness of humanity to expand. We are really, as the starseeds are here to assist with that. And that I don't believe that the awakening could happen to the level it will without the starseeds. The starseeds seem to be a predominant feature of the awakening of consciousness, because they bring in a different energy, they bring in a different frequency awareness and specific DNA codes. The starseeds are, and this is not really publicly known yet, although in 3 years from now, I'm sure it will be. But the starseeds have specific DNA codes that have been coded within their systems. The majority of them are not even aware of yet. Information has been coded for this time now, and there will be codes that. Sorry, I feel like I'm going into channeling. Do you want me to do that? Will I just go into the channeling?
Sure. If
Okay.
you feel moved to do that, go ahead.
Okay. So there will be very specific DNA codes that I'm still not aware of yet, that they've said that they will tell me in as time goes on. And I continue with the channeling, where the specific DNA codes for the starseeds are yet to come. One of them was awakened, which is to do with grounding and into the earth. It's very much to do with the connection. Okay, thank you. The connection of starseeds and the earth, and how to balance, because many starseeds often feel they don't want to be here, they don't belong, and they want to go home. And they also feel they don't know where home is, but it's not here, it's somewhere out there. So that is one of the specific codes that have been awakened and activated, of grounding their starseed cosmic energy into Mother Earth, which is to do with the Great Awakening and the evolution. Thank you. The evolution of consciousness. And there are many codes that we have shared that are to come with Soma, this one, that she hasn't released yet, as we haven't released the information consciously to her. Rather, we've shared it energetically. So on a higher level, she is aware of these codes, but not on a conscious level. So she's not able yet to verbalize or share these. Thank you. There are more codes to come. This is the great awakening of humanity, and you are here to assist in this evolutionary leap forward in not just your awakening, but humanity's awakening. This is such an epic time on your planet, of a huge evolutionary leap and jump forward, of mass awakening. The starseeds are here to assist, as are we and others like Lyrans and Syrians. These DNA codes that we speak of and are beginning to speak more of are not publicly well known yet, if at all, but these codes are very specific in allowing the human body to go through its own evolutionary period, where, and this is necessary because you, as you evolve spiritually, you will also be evolving physically, meaning that your bodies are changing. Thank you. In a very physical way. Your bodies are changing in a very physical way. Your DNA is waking up, is reawakening to a higher awareness dimension, frequency, vibration, sound, awareness. Your DNA is changing. It is evolving as you evolve, as your consciousness evolves, as your frequency evolves, as your vibration evolves. You are not alone in evolving as humanity. The earth is also evolving, as are we, as are Lyrans, as are Syrians, as is everything within your universe. Human beings, us, animals, insects, plants even, are becoming more conscious. The great awakening of humanity is not limited to humanity or to us or Lyrans or animals or insects or plants or whales or dolphins. It affects everything. Everything is waking up. Everything is on an evolutionary period and moving into a higher timeline, a higher frequency, a higher dimension, a higher awareness, a higher understanding, more illumined, more luminosity, shining brighter than ever before, shining brighter than ever before, even brighter than your existence in Atlantis that so many of Starseeds lived in. during the time of Atlantis and the downfall of Atlantis, which was caused by negative ET energy. And not overnight, but over thousands of years. These beings came in and observed for quite some time. They began to plan, to organize a plan containing thousands of years to play out. And the Earth was deliberately knocked off its natural axis. And things began to change slowly, dramatically on your planet. You were infiltrated by negative ET beings that some may call the reptilians. But your Earth was deliberately knocked off its natural axis. And the weather changed quite dramatically overnight, causing devastation, chaos, extinctions of some species, not everything. Many tunnels were and underground caverns and caves and areas were, we will say, already there, already underneath the surface on your planet. And many of humanity at this time used these areas to survive, used these areas to as a form of protection, as a form of survival, as a form of staying alive. These areas are still in existence to today, but have been either hidden or lost, both accidentally and deliberately. There are caves and caverns and tunnels and whole cities and areas and water and forest, and so much of what you've been told, so much of your history, your science, you've been lied to on such a mass scale about everything. We know and we understand that it can be overwhelming to suddenly realize this, and it can be too much. It can be too overwhelming to wake up to that reality. And therefore, and we also understand that the human body is more fragile than ours is. In terms of Kundalini and awakening process, you need to wake up gradually and slowly, because you are very dense, very heavy in your human physical vessels. Your human physical bodies are very fragile, even to cuts and an opening of the skin. We will pause there. Would you, Blaine, like to ask, do you have any questions?
I do. I was wondering, so there's been a lot of political turmoil in the world recently with the US elections and the things going on in the UK and other places. And so I'm wondering if you can give us any idea what to expect in this next year. And well, in the year that we're in now, it's not the next year anymore. We're in 2025, and maybe perhaps a year or two beyond that.
Soma is smiling and laughing to herself internally because she was doing a channeling at 7 p.m. this evening for somebody, and this information came through. We have often, and we will relay some of it because it is some of the information that we came through. We very much see more of your lives, meaning that when Soma was speaking of this information 2 hours previously than now, or 3 hours previously than now, we were aware that you would ask this question. And Soma and we find that very funny. We do have a very good sense of humor, but and she's realizing now that we were preparing her for this question. And some of what we spoke of earlier, we will share again, and perhaps even more. We have been sharing much information about Trump to Soma, and most of it she shares publicly, but there are certain things that she may never share. And thank you, and rightly so. What we will say, we will perhaps kind of condense some of the information that we have shared both today, previously, and in previous times, going back to when we first started sharing about Trump to Soma, which in the beginning quite surprised her. So let us lay some foundation and say that every system on your planet, since the downfall of Atlantis, has been run by negative ET energy, and thus caused the downfall of Atlantis. And it is relevant to now, and to Trump, and to what is happening on your planet, because it is a reversal, as we call it to Soma for some time, an Atlantis reversal, or the reversal of Atlantis. At the downfall of Atlantis, there was a probationary period, or a period of time that we will get to your question about Trump, but this is relevant. So at the downfall of Atlantis, there was a probationary period, or a period of where a choice could be made, either to ascend or descend. And you chose to, rightly or wrongly, there's no right or wrong, but you did choose to descend. And now it is kind of a parallel timeline to Atlantis, because at Atlantis you made wrong choices, is the wrong word, but you made choices that you wouldn't make now. So now you get to make better choices, better, thank you, timelines, better outcomes, better understandings, better inner knowing, better situation, better events, better timeline, better choices, better outcomes, better motivations, better awareness, better frequency, better vibration, better sound, better senses, better abilities. You are choosing a higher timeline. You are kind of bouncing back to Atlantis and then moving forward. Trump, so at the, okay, thank you, hold on. So at the downfall of Atlantis, since then, every system on Earth, on your planet, has been run by, at the very top of the systems, has been run by negative ET energy. And at the downfall of Atlantis, there was contract signed, sealed, and delivered by positive and negative ET energies that allowed negative ET energies to rule over your planet. And that contract has now come to an end. So thank you. So every system on your planet that has been run by negative ET energy has come to an end. And the contract has been torn up. However, these beings, for want of a better word, do not want to leave, do not want to end the contract, do not want to make changes, do not want to give up their control, do not want to exit, do not want to leave. They are quite happy to continue with their ways. However, that is no longer an option for them, but they are unwilling to leave. There are people like Trump who have been brought in there. Intention is the wrong word, but deliberately, as these beings do not want to leave, other humans have stepped in to help, to assist. And Trump is just one of a number of people that have been brought in to assist in the removal of these negative beings. We have never quite worded it this way to Soma before. So she is enjoying this as much as you may be, or as much as you are. So Trump is here to assist in the great awakening of humanity. He has been known about for quite some time. He is quite a force to be reckoned with and will not be assassinated or taken out, although there have been several attempts in the past and more than likely in the future, perhaps. But he is protected and guarded. He is not here alone. He has great assistance, and not just from us, but from other beings similar to us, who we class as our brothers and sisters, our cousins even, our nieces, our nephews, our brothers and sisters like the Lyrians, the Syrians, and others. The universe is teeming with life of all sorts, both positive and negative. Let us go back to Trump, because this is such an important current events and an important figure or character on your planet right now. Oh, to do with the Great Ascension. We are, the way Soma works is that we work telepathically with her. And we also show her images at the same time of different things. So we work telepathically, and then we show her images, which contain sometimes thousands of pieces of information coinciding with the telepathic information we are showing her. And that is what we were doing. But we are also adding something else into the mix for this evening that she is finding quite funny and will not share. But it has to do with, thank you, it has to do with Trump, who is not alone in his mission, or the mission of humanity even. He is assisted, and he is aware of this. He is not your average Trump. Funny, isn't it? The name Trump. We have shared many times with Soma in previous transmissions and downloads about language and how it has been manipulated in a positive and negative way. But a positive name of Trump is evident. We often give a very easy example of the word ridicule us, or ridiculous, or ridicule us. So going back to Trump and your question, bearing in mind the aspects or some aspects of what is really going on, and different aspects of the bigger picture, and smaller aspects of the great awakening of humanity. What is happening is not limited to Earth. It affects us. It affects our brothers and sisters like Sirius and Lyrians and other beings in the universe. Your universe is teeming with life in all directions. There have been many experiments and beings, human beings and animal beings, and many different beings created, both positive and negative, in vast, far-reaching places. You are not the only ones that exist. We find that humorous. We find that funny. Very funny and childlike that you would believe such nonsense, because it truly is nonsense, that you would believe that there is nothing outside existing, outside of Earth or outside of humanity in space. Anyway, you believe that. You really believe that. We and Soma, we find that. It's so funny. It's so funny, so young, so naive, so led to those thoughts that you're so separate. You're not at all. You contain, and most especially the starseeds contain, our energy, our DNA, not just ours, but Lyrians and Syrians and Arcturians, and some too many to name, there are thousands like us existing in thousands of places, planets, suns, earths, moons, stars, galaxies, dimensions, universes. There is a world outside of you, outside of your planet, outside of your home. Look out, you will see ships moving, some fake, some real. This is very evident in your skies as we speak. Some are man-made, some are not. Some are not man-made. Some are UFO. Some are our technology Not all. Some are what you would call, or Soma would call, fake, but not all. There is real movement in your skies. And we are here to let you know that we are here. We are real. We exist. There are people who have been sent to your planet consciously and unconsciously to bring change, to make great strides, such as the Starseeds, such as Trump, such as Putin, such as Blaine, such as all of you on Earth have a part to play. You are either on the right side of history or the wrong side of it. And there is a very clear line down the middle that sometimes is grey and merges or blurs. Get clarity on where you are and what side you choose. That will be important in the coming days, weeks, months. Let us go back again to Trump. We'll be making changes, is in talks and discussions, is in correspondence and meetings, some public, but mostly unseen, mostly in doorways and on secret calls and meetings and whispers, deals, connections, contracts, far from the public eye, that need to be made, that are in humanity's best interest to make changes, not just in America and not just financially, but Trump has been speaking, connecting, talking, whispering to many other political leaders. Changes are coming. Changes are here. Trump will not be assassinated. Attempts have and will be made, even to come, most surely, before the 20th of January or thereabouts. He is here to help. Changes are coming financially, not just financially, but to do with manufacturing and organizations and jobs and employment and employees. There is a rebuilding of a rebuilding of manufacturing, cars and electronics and technology and devices and electrical items. There is a resurface and remodeling of these that we've just said. We are delighted that you have given us the space to talk this evening on your channel, on your podcast, on your show, on your interview, on your channel, on your method to reach people. This surprises Soma that she so open to your energy, Blaine. So often she's so cautious, so super cautious and sensitive of interviewers and who they are and what their energy is and what are they about. And am I safe to open up and channel? Am I safe to do that?
Absolutely.
And she feels incredibly safe with you. And we want to say thank you as she feels your energy is loving, open, special, kind, compassionate, giving,
well, thank you.
And safe. So we would like to say thank you on her behalf and we would like to do this again and again and again and again, not just with you, but with everyone that is listening, is open to receiving what we have to say. And we love you. We see your partner. We like that. We like her energy. We like her energy.
Me too.
Yes. You are blessed.
Extremely, extremely blessed. I'm going to have her on one of these days too.
Wonderful.
Well, it's been a great listening to you. If there's anything else you want to say,
we will speak again.
I appreciate it.
Oh.
And she's back. That's
I often can't speak after a channeling So you may need to cover me.
No problem. I was actually going to ask you does it take a lot out of you to do that?
It takes me a while to come back,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't take, it gives to me.
I could feel the energy, and I want to tell the audience I was speaking telepathically to the Pleiadians, if I'm saying that correctly, that I have some questions to see, and of course, then they said, "Do you have a question?" So, and they read my thoughts pretty well on most things. So, do you remember everything when you?
No, I remember bits, but I do often forget really important information. Yeah, sometimes I do. I forget not just the mundane stuff. I mean, they don't often share mundane stuff, but sometimes I do forget a lot of it because I don't remember. I remember some bits, but not always. And sometimes the bits I do remember is not the important information.
Well, you'll have the video to go back and, and take a look and see what came across. I was a little surprised that they talked about Trump directly. I guess I sort of expected of a more general, this might happen or that might happen type of thing. And so that was really interesting to me. And that actually aligns with my feelings of his energy. So I don't know if you remember much about what was said about him, but and because he's a very controversial character, and I don't bring that kind of stuff up that often because of that. Although I've been doing it more lately, but so that was really interesting where it went, and I think a lot of people will be interested in hearing that. So,
They've been sharing information with me since 2019 regarding Trump. So, yeah,
yeah. So do you get like information from them when you're not channeling too? You get uh, intuition or insight into stuff that just kind of pops into your head, for lack of a better way to put it.
I do. I do. They're never not with me ever.
Okay.
Like they're never not with me ever. It's just so sometimes I can be doing the dishes and I'll get a message from them. And it's not that they go anywhere. They don't I was born with them in my energetic field, in my energy field. It's more a question of what mind state am I in? What energy am I in? Because the better I feel, the higher energy I'm in, the better the connection, the clearer the phone line. Yeah. And they always put me into a good state, even if I'm not having such a great day, in my own life. If I'm a bit down, they always their energy always puts me into a higher energy, a higher they come in with such love. It's just love times 1,000. And when I first started to channel them and feel that overwhelming sense of love, it used to make me cry. And sometimes it still does because it's we don't experience love to that fraction or that degree or that level on this planet. It's off the scale. It really is off the scale. And it just makes me cry sometimes, especially in the early days. I'm more used to it now, and which is good. It's my own evolvement, my own evolution, my own journey. But yeah, they're so beautiful, just so beautiful, and so loving, and so kind, and compassionate, and patient.
I love the sense of humor too. I don't trust anybody that doesn't have a sense of humor. I thought that was very, very interesting. Do you feel that that's where you came from the Pleiadian system?
Yeah, I do. That was one of the things I was shown in the shamanic courses that I did and the journeys within those courses. I think it was 2 or 3 years training that I did with Paul O'Halloran in Ireland. And I was taken on one specific journey that I'll never forget. It was so like I was really there. and I was in the universe, and I was seeing the night sky and the stars and the planets, and everything was so visual. I'm a visual person anyway, but everything was so visual and vibrating and such rich colors. And I was taken on this journey with my Native American spirit guide who was there. And I was shown some of my past lives and where I came from and why I'm here and my mission and my journey. And a huge aspect of that is to channel the Pleiadians is to channel the Pleiadians. That's really why I'm here. And my trauma as a child has allowed me to do that. So I'm very grateful for the horrendous experiences that I've had that have given me the biggest blessings, really the biggest blessings. And so, yeah, I'm very blessed. You know, not in every area of life am I blessed, but I'm very blessed with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting that they brought up Atlantis. I know that I've had a past life in Atlantis, and which really surprised me. And I just found out recently, actually, too, that I did. I wondered, I kind of thought maybe possible, but I just didn't know. I listened to a gal who she wrote a book on it, and she does QHHT. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not.
I am. Yes, I am. I've
Yeah.
heard of it before. But tell me about your past life. I'm dying to hear that.
Well, I don't know much about it yet, but I'll tell you what I do know. But I'll tell you how I found out too. Is her name is Sarah Breckman? I can't think of the last name. Sarah something, or maybe that's her last name, and there was a middle name in there. She wrote a couple of books on it. She's a QHHT practitioner, and she was getting all of these people who were going back into past lives in Atlantis, and she thought this is kind of odd, because she does them and she just gets various things. And so one of the persons that did it connected with her higher self, and they told her that we're bringing these forward because there's a lot of stuff that went on in Atlantis that is happening nowadays that needs, and you guys need to make a different choice, or you might go down the same path. And
What is your
and
name, Blaine?
it's Sarah Breckman's something. I can't remember the last name. I will
Please do.
message it to you. So, anyways, I was intrigued and I read her book. And in the beginning of her book, she says, "Be aware, you might be triggered because you might have had a past life in Atlantis and you don't know it, and it's time for people to wake up so that we don't make the wrong choice." And I'm always an open-minded skeptic about stuff like that. And I thought, oh, yeah, sure, right. And so I started reading the book, and boom, I was triggered big time by it. And so I went to bed that night and I said, if I had a past life in Atlantis, I was wondering why I was so triggered by it. I want to know. I want to go there. And so I was asking my higher self, and as soon as I fell asleep, boom, I was there. But it wasn't a dream. It was like real. You could relate, huh?
Yeah.
I saw the structures and everything, and it was just some glimpses of the structures, and then I was in the water with the destruction, and I could see the debris and bodies. Except I was in the water, I could feel it, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." And that might have been why it was brief, because still I'm so skeptical. And then my logical brain, when I woke up, was like, "Oh, that was just a dream." I was like, "No, it wasn't." So I may need to do a regression or something. I don't know. I have asked to go back a few times when I fall asleep, but if I did, I don't remember. Yeah, it might have something to do with my energy or that sort of thing. And I'm working on all of that stuff, and I've been working on it for a long time. But I feel like maybe a breakthrough here on some stuff is imminent because of what's going on in the world. So,
It sounds like you've had some amazing experiences. And those dreams that we remember years later, they're not dreams. Those are real experiences on the astral plane,
yeah,
either of our past or our present or our future, or a different timeline or a different reality or past life remembrance. But those are real experiences. So
yeah,
many people, and science especially, perhaps not so much these days, but definitely in the past when I was growing up, used to dismiss everything.
yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is I felt prompted to do it to help bring this kind of information into the more mainstream consciousness, and now is the time. I can just feel it.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm putting people on, and I may not always agree with everything everybody says, but I've I've struggled with that a little bit, especially when I first started doing these. It's like, no, you're just supposed to just let people have their say and open the floor to them and not judge. And and same thing with the audience. They'll take what they will from it, and it's up to them. It's not me. It's not for me to try and guide it, because every time I did try to do that a little bit, it didn't work out. you know
Yeah,
so
I know. That's something I've had to learn as well, is to, because like I have no filter. So in the beginning, when COVID kicked off, I started to interview people and to get out the downloads and information. And sometimes I just couldn't shut up. I had to say it. But I've learned I don't really do it in my personal life. I do it more when I'm doing the interviews.
yeah,
But I've really learned to shut up with some of the stuff that I don't agree with, because it's yeah, for many different reasons. But sometimes it's best not to say anything.
yeah,
And there are certain things that I don't believe, like flat Earth. I don't believe in that.
me neither.
Yeah, no, it's not something I've, like when I was up there having that experience on the and being shown the Pleiadians and my past life, some of them or one of them. Everything I saw, everything I was looking at, the suns, the moons, everything was round, including the Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know where that flat Earth theory comes from, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't
not
know.
something.
I tend to think it's part of the negative energy to try and lead people down the wrong road and stuff. Yeah, I've been taken up above the earth and seen it in dreams and very lucid dreams and stuff. Actually, I did a video on one a while back on one of those dreams on my channel, but it didn't get much. It didn't get many views, but so we'll see. But yeah, no, so now I just, before too, when people when I would be looking for people to come on the show, I would be thinking, I would trying to be assessed, would this be good for the show or not, and I quickly learned that it's not me, I'm being guided. And if somebody is going to be on the show, just go with it. And, it took me a few times to realize that, because every time I would try to interject my own into it, my own lower nature, I guess you could say, into it, things just didn't work.
It's
So,
been lovely. I'd love to do this again with you, and especially the channeling.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. We will do this again. And I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you reaching out. Like I said in the email or the message, I had a few people fall through that had wanted to come on, and they'll probably be on at later dates. But so I just put it out there. It's like, well, okay, it's up to you. Right? So if I'm supposed to be doing this, feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing for once in my life, 100%. There's times when I felt like I was doing stuff that I was supposed to be doing, but it was never 100%. And this is one of those things that I feel 100%. So, all right, Soma, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you
thank
coming on the
you.
show.
Thank you, Blaine. There's some things I'd like to share, if it's okay.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you'd like to give some
Thank
parting
you.
message to the show, to the
Thank
audience.
you. I thought so. I had that feeling. Um, so I have a workshop coming up. Well, I already started it on Sunday, and it's 16 weeks left, so it's 17 weeks in total. So I have the workshop, which covers a whole range of things. I do readings, I do personal channelings for people individually. I have my books, I have courses, workshops, teachings. I also have a free weekly group where I channel the Pleiadians. So it's very similar to what I did just now. And I have my group of people that I work with every week physically, in the Zoom, and I channel for and ask, and they are, get to ask questions. So if anyone is interested in what I'm doing and my work and the channeling or readings or the books, or you can the best way is to email me at the Pleiadianchild@hotmail.com, or you can join me on Substack, Rumble, YouTube. Facebook is facebook.com, Soma ARah. I also am the founder of the Cosmic Starseed Academy, which you can come and join on Facebook as well, and also my Substack. So if you're interested in what the Pleiadians have to say, because if it wasn't for them, I would be a little housewife somewhere, which I often dream of, but it hasn't managed. I haven't created that this lifetime. So here I am channeling. So if you're interested in what the Pleiadians have to say, then come and join my Substack. There's a free and paid versions, and come and check me out. And if you'd like a reading, or, just come and check me out. Yeah.
I'll link all of that in the description.
Thank you.
Any parting words for the audience before we go?
Love. Step into the love frequency is a frequency that can be measured. If it can be measured, it can be created. If for people who are feeling down to whatever extremity, or have depression, or are going through difficult times, or raise your frequency. You are in control. You are in control of your frequency, of your vibration, of your situation. And some of them may be very difficult and lessons that we need to learn, but we are in control. Raise your frequency. Step into love.
Beautiful. Thank you, Soma.
You're welcome.